And Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who sold and bought in the temple. And he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. He said to them, "It is written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer,' but you make it a den of robbers." The scene here is very different than the day before. Earlier, Jesus entered the city of Jerusalem to the sound of celebration and song, but here, Jesus enters the temple to the sound of sales and commerce. The temple was meant to be a place of worship, the actual place where the living presence of God would manifest among his people, and in turn, God's people would bring him worship. Now, what Jesus encounters here is something completely different than worship. This scene is significant on multiple levels, but what's particularly helpful for us to consider is the judgment that Jesus pronounces when he says, "My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of robbers." What's the lesson here? What's the takeaway? What's Jesus trying to say? Well, Jesus enters the temple of God to cleanse it of false worship disguised as faithful religion. In other words, it is possible to devote ourselves to the faithful practice of religious tradition and ideas, but be utterly unfaithful to the God we claim to be worshiping. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, the Apostle Paul would go on to say, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit?" And if we're honest with ourselves, we would all recognize that our temple, our heart, our bodies need cleansing. Holy Week is a time to remember the cleansing that has taken place in our hearts as the blood of the Son of God has been poured for his people. The stain of sin removed, God now dwells in us, and we stand forever cleansed of our impurity. The hymn writer put this to words, and he wrote, "There is a fountain filled with blood drawn from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains." Let that be the song of our hearts this Holy Week.
There is a fountain filled with blood drawn from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, and sinners plunge beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains. The dying thief rejoiced to see that fountain in his day, and there may I, though vile as he, wash all my sins away, wash all my sins away, wash all my sins away, and there may I, though vile as he, wash all my sins away. Dear dying Lamb, thy precious blood shall never lose its power, till all the of God, be saved to sin no more. Be saved to sin no more. Be saved to sin no more. Till all the ransomed church of God be saved